there's a lot of people that don't feel real safe with gas anymore. When gas systems fail, there's not a lot of fail safes for them when you got leaking gas, and natural gas very flammable. I think there's more than one answer to this question, and I think I know what your answer. Your answer would be, code requires that panel be a minimum of 125 amps in order for them to add a EV charger to an existing 100 amp service. Now you're talking about a situation where they want to go all electric as well, which is very popular today. First recommendation, get your house up to speed for what we're doing today. That comes with a higher price tag, which doesn't always fit people's budget. But number one, yes, upgrade that panel to 200 amps, peel off the Band-Aid and put the right AC equipment in there for the job. So that would be my first recommendation. Some more conversation would have to be had as far as what they currently have in the usage when they want to charge the car. That would be important because they do now accept a piece of equipment that's called a load shedder. It sheds a load. So what that means, so you have a 100 amp panel, for example. The load shedder will not allow that amperage capacity of the panel to exceed the 100 amp amps to protect the system. So if, let's say you have a EV charger on that load shedder, you want to charge your Tesla, your EV vehicle that day, during the day, in your home, and you're getting ready for some stuff. You're going to cook some stuff in the oven or maybe cook some stuff on your new electric good cooktop. You have your AC running or your heater running, and it's all electric. That load shedder is going to recognize that it's too much power for the 100 amp main breaker, and it's going to shut down your EV charger, not allowing it to charge when those numbers are exceeding the safe number. That's why I mentioned you have to know a little bit of their lifestyle. If they're charging their car when they're at home, the recommendation is going to be upgrade the panel. But if you're charging that panel at night when you're sleeping and you don't have any loads going, the load shedder is a great option to make it safe and legal. It's not going to affect a whole lot. So in the right situation, there's a less expensive option that's on average probably 50 to 60% less expensive than it's going to cost to actually upgrade the electrical panel. But I'm with you, and I'm sure that's probably your recommendation. I'm always going to recommend putting a new, bigger heart that can handle the job that's being asked of it. I'm not a fan of taxing the electrical panel. Like, my outlet on that. That's the heart of the system. It's got a very important job to do. And that job is to not let that house get overloaded. Protect the wiring of the house. Let's not let this thing become a problem. If you're gonna, need more capacity, you need a bigger heart. You need a healthier heart. You need something that's gonna handle it better. So that would be my number one choice. But there is the option of the load shedder.
My recommendation is always, okay, well, minimum requires 125, and it's like, hey, you might as well go up to a 200. That's the standard in all in constructions in California. 200 amp. The sky's almost the limit, for like the average house. You can expand from that. You can do sub panels. There's once you get to that 200, there's so much options you can do with your panel. And then of course it depends on if their panel's full and all that stuff. But yeah, that's always been my recommendation, is always to upgrade the panel.
Especially when someone's doing what's common today, like I said, they're going all electric. They want to get all their gas appliances out of it. They want electric water heater. They want electric cooktop. They want electric ovens. I rarely am in agreement with a customer who wants a 125 amp upgrade from a 100 amp when they're going all electric. I'm going to hopefully be able to convince them the value of going to a 200 amp. It's a nominal cost. It doesn't cost that much more to get a lot more bang for your buck. Houses today are not requiring less electricity. It's just going up. Everything is becoming electric. So that would be by far the recommendation. Why are people today going and converting everything from gas to electric, going whole, strictly electric? That seems to be a common call we get. I want to get a new induction cooktop. I want to get rid of my gas ring or my gas water heater. I want to go with the heat pump HVAC system instead of a gas furnace type system. Seems to be popular. People are bitching their PG&E gas. They're dead all electric.
I feel those are the type of people that have solar or considering solar. They're taking the right path to going all electric. Right. I've been to people's houses where they have solar that's been installed, 5 or 6 years ago, and their bill is nothing. And they're like, might as well switch everything to electric.
Since we're getting so advanced in renewable energy, now you don't have to pay those peak rates anymore. When you can store the power that you're generating through your system, you can store it and use it without paying for the peak rate, the peak rates at the time. So you couldn't do that before. You were limited to using what you were generating and having to sell back what you didn't use. Now we're in a system where the buyback rate of that electricity is just not worth it anymore. You need to store that. It's yours. You pay for the system, harness that energy, store it so you can use it later. Whether you use later to pay less in your electricity, or you store it for an emergency, so for backup power from like a generator. I think there's a lot of people that are that don't feel real safe with gas anymore. We have a lot of old gas systems in California. We do have earthquakes. When gas systems fail, there's not a lot of fail safes for them. When you got leaking gas, and natural gas very flammable, it's not that healthy. Burning gas in the house, there's a lot of questions on the health aspects of it. So from a health perspective, you got CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere, into your house. You're breathing this. You have carbon monoxide. I think there's another one they say that is emitted. I think it's benzene. 3 main gases that people are trying to get away from for health reasons. People are being they're getting smarter on what's making us sick.
Yeah, that's why when you have a cooktop that's gas,
yeah,
it has to have a vent system that shoots out. They can't do that recirculating vent, in those, you have to have something that vents out to the house.
That's a big reason. And then you have the environmental aspects of it. You got the greenhouse effect. There's a lot of gas appliances around here. But I think there's just a lot of reasons right now people are going. I think safety, efficiency is a big part of it. When we have now the capacity to harness energy, save energy, and keep it there for use later on, it starts making sense now to have everything electric. Then there's also some drawbacks. When electricity is not there, everything's electric. It's kind of nice to have gas. Kind of nice to have a gas heater. Kind of nice to have a gas cooktop. Kind of nice to have a gas fireplace. All of those things can be transferred to electric. But when you have no power, it's kind of nice, in my opinion, to have some offsets, a little bit of variables there, like gas cooktops.
Here's the kicker: the argument for induction cooking. You can set the exact temperature.
I don't have an induction cooktop now. We changed the cooktop that we had, needed some work done, so we put an electric one in there. It made sense. We had the ability to do it. We had electrical there. It was easier. It was cost effective. We didn't do the induction. We just did an electric cooktop purely for cost. It was less expensive. We don't have the convenience of it actually. They're only hot when you have your pan on there. Yeah, so this is really cool to me. Ours isn't. I've learned to cook on electric now, and I got to tell you, I'm burning that stuff.
I think the best way to do it is I actually have a portable induction cooker that I take camping. It's just easier to have a backup just in case I forgot, we like to use our trailer, the gas on the inside, but sometimes we don't because, hey, you're in a mobile unit that
Right.
You have these 2 big containers. So, we'll do a couple of induction cooking outside or even inside. With induction, you literally adjust the temperature. You can adjust it to where, let's say if the melting point of chocolate, you could set it to that point and you have perfect melted chocolate. You can set it to where, let's say you add different ingredients and you don't want to burn, let's say sugar, which has a lower melting point, and anything really, butter. You can set it below that temperature and you would never burn again. Just try it out, get one of those little portable ones that plugs it into a dedicated circuit, in the kitchen. Make sure you don't have other stuff plugged up to it at the same time, because it does use around the 15 amp range.
Just a single burner.
It's a single burner. You do have to get special pots and pans. It's pretty much like correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much kind of like your phone, like a Qi charging. It has a magnetic coil in the bottom, and then inside your pots and pan has a coil on the inside too. And when one coil does this thing, I don't know the technical jargon or whatever, but it actually heats up the pan on the inside. You notice sometimes your phone gets a little hot when you have it on a wireless charger.
Yeah. I didn't know a lot of this. I didn't know you needed a special pan.
You do need special pan, but the cool part about those pans is you can use them for other stuff. You can use them for normal electric. You can use them for gas and induction too. So any companies out there that's going to send us induction cooking, we can demonstrate it on the next one here.